Welcome to the Weather Insights podcast. I'm meteorologist Scott Pitney, along with meteorologist Jeff Lindner, and we are recording this on November 12th. November 12th, Jeff, almost the middle of November, and here we're looking at yet another disturbance number one in the Western Caribbean, now with an 80% chance of development in the next 7 days, 40% chance of development in the next 48 hours. Likely become a depression sometime this weekend, maybe even perhaps Tropical Storm Sarah. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, as we've seen before, and it's typical this time of year, we have the path and directions all over the place. And as you pointed out in one of your posts too, I like that post where, we've got snow in the Rockies and Sahara, and then we're still talking tropical weather. So the weather is just kind of weird this time of year, lots to talk about, but there you see the infrared satellite really becoming a little more active down in that area compared to where it was yesterday.
Yeah, so this is our tropical wave axis here south of Hispaniola, kind of back to the south-southwest toward Nicaragua and Costa Rica coast. And this is going to kind of move over here slowly to the west. And conditions are very favorable, like they are usually in the Western Caribbean this time of year in October and November. Interestingly enough, this is the old remnant up here of Rafael. Remember Rafael from last week that kind of moved into the Gulf and got way over here to the Northwest Gulf and then looped around. And this is the old remnant here of Rafael coming up today toward the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama coast. No tropical with the just remnant moisture. But this is probably going to be another big breeding ground yet again for a tropical system to form late this week. So here's the European ensemble model showing the different plots here. You can see a pretty strong signal here in the Southwest Caribbean, Western Caribbean for development. And if you look over at the GFS, almost exactly the same spot. So, I mean, if you're looking for model data to support the high percentage chances, you certainly have it. I mean, you don't really get much better agreement than this. And then the question becomes, where are we looking for the track? Is it one of these things that gets kind of stuck down here near Central America? That's possibly common this time of year. We've seen that in the past. Kind of lingers down here around Belize and Honduras. Or does the big trough coming in this weekend into the Central Plains grab it and slingshot it up towards Cuba and possibly even Florida? Florida's not quite out of the woods on this one.
Right.
It could head up towards the north there. That's a fairly favorable track late in the year. Maybe not so much in November. We're getting really late for impacts in the Eastern Gulf. It's happened, and I think I saw this morning, I think there's been 3 hurricanes that have hit Florida this late in the season past this point. And so really we're starting to talk about some pretty rare territory here. So it'll be interesting to see how things get together down here, and really uncertain on which solution ultimately becomes the outcome. I could see it hanging out down here near Central America, coming up north and potentially impacting Florida, or even being pulled northeast across Cuba and the Bahamas and out into the Atlantic. Or it could be a combination of those outcomes where it kind of lingers down here and then eventually the trough picks it up and slingshots the northeast. No threat to the Texas coast, really no threat probably to the U.S. Gulf Coast. But if you're in Florida, especially that southern part of Florida down toward the Keys up towards the West Coast, I'd be at least keeping an eye on this as it gets together here over mainly toward the end of the week and the weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch and to see if this hurricane season is actually going to go all the way to the end of November. You called it actually beginning of the hurricane season, that we could see a late season, late activity late into the season, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So be interesting to see what happens, but we have a lot of fronts, a lot of movement, a lot of synoptic activity happening over the United States, and that definitely makes the steering currents and the paths of the hurricanes and tropical systems very interesting this time of year. So we'll have to wait to see what happens, and we'll likely have another update later on in the week, which could be Tropical Storm Sarah this weekend. So you can keep up with the latest on the tropics. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, the Weather Insights YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications, and also check out our blog on the Weather Insights website. Jeff, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.